to be honest, don't really know what I'm doing.
He was often a player that I would buy on Football Manager.
It's already a terrible reason.
From Jon Snow, Matt puts Dan's wardrobe to shame.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Look at him, the cat that got the cream.
Ian Taylor said it was the worst thing he'd ever seen in his life.
My theory on referees is you give them the nicest changing room in the stadium.
It's just the most bizarre thing I've ever
Hear me out.
I cannot believe Gabriel Bonner-Horst.
That's crazy,
That's
isn't
terrible. Yeah, we may well have lost listeners early doors again with a long-winded intro. Go, shoot.
Hello and welcome to the Villa View podcast. I'm Tom Julian, joined once more by Mr. Christopher Dolan. Mr. Christopher, that works, doesn't it?
No. Long time no see.
Hello, we are in the we're in the St Andrews podcast booth tonight. We've kind of been unceremoniously dumped from the good booth, and maybe that's fitting.
It's actually not as bad as you guys were making it out to be back last year. It's actually not that bad.
You can't like it,
There's
don't
a certain
you?
charm to its bleakness.
I feel like you thrive under pressure, and maybe the downtrodden nature of this. You're like, no, I'm going to raise my own game.
It's like something. It's kind of like if Partridge was to have his own podcast.
It is very Partridge, isn't it?
It would be in here. It's got that smell. You can smell the carpet on the walls. It's very musty and fusty.
Yeah.
This. I can picture Partridge in this booth.
It's a bit of you.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's the most laughter you're going to get from me tonight, because obviously we are coming off the back of a miserable 2-1 defeat to Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday. Before we get into the game too much, Chris, it's been a tough one over this train journey and the last couple of days where you and I have been talking a little bit about what we're going to talk about, and it feels very depressing, doesn't it? Because we've got a load of questions, and thank you very much. We're going to get to as many as we can.
Today, yeah.
But a lot of them are pretty sad, aren't they? If when push comes to shove.
It's just stuff that we've covered before. It's stuff that, and you kind of feel there's a danger of repeating yourself. Mm-hmm. It's deja vu. It's nothing that's come as a shock. It's we as fans, we knew this was going to happen. We could see it coming. Nothing's changed, and it's just kind of, we're just going out in circles, and that's as far as I can really say on that. I mean, it's just kind of going around in circles, and I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know what's going to happen, and it all just seems very, very flat at the minute. It was flat against Rotherham. It was flat against Wednesday, even though it was the biggest crowd of the season. 35,000 people.
Yeah.
35,000.
And, well, I mean, we're going to get into it, but it was absolutely rocking when John McGinn rifles that ball in and the crowd goes nuts. You think, right, okay, forget the first half.
If that doesn't spur you on, that doesn't spur you on, or spur Bruce on, or spur anyone on to go for the win, then I don't know what will.
Well, let's get into it.
Unless they were all just in awe.
It was Bruce's 100th game. It's a bit like, and like you say, the highest crowd this season so far. So it's a bit like it's your birthday party, and then you get so drunk that actually you just embarrass yourself, and maybe you're sick all over your front.
And Stephen Fletcher runs rings around you.
Yeah, and cops off with your missus.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's just a disaster all around.
Mr. Journeyman.
So we turn up, 35,000, like you say. There's still this, I mean, we're 7th at this point. Sheffield Wednesday, decent side, not to be underestimated.
Good
but
side.
The first half was absolutely diabolical. Sheffield Wednesday had the better of the chances, but by no means were dominant. But Villa, playing the 4-4-2, which Steve Bruce has said he always wanted to play, even though we've never seen it, just looked absolutely out of sorts.
It seems to me that he's very much he seems to kind of like come up with these things as he goes along.
Yeah.
He came out after the Rotherham game last week, and you'd have sworn we'd beaten Barca 5-0 at the new camp.
Yeah.
In the Champions League quarter-final. Yeah. It was like, it's Rotherham. They're a bang average team. Like, they really are. Like, if we're setting our sights and looking at our performance against a Rotherham team of that quality, then there's something seriously wrong. And I felt when I heard his post-match after Rotherham, bagging on about Jednak and how good he is as a centre-back, come on, like, it's Rotherham.
Yeah.
It was a pre, I tweeted it was like a pre-season friendly. It was like a training match.
Yeah.
I just think that there's no bite, there's no punch, there's no edge. Bruce looks like he's knackered. He looks like he's done in. Well, the players look like they're bored.
To go back to Jednak,
fans are bored.
To go back to Jednak for a second, we talked about it on the train here. We were getting rings run round us by Stephen Fletcher, who is a wily Championship veteran. He's been around a long time. He knows how to play the game. But he got so much space at times between Chester and Jednak.
Yeah.
And there just seemed to be a confusion between the two. And Fletcher was fine. He had that overhead kick.
Yeah.
He put one over the bar early doors. There was a couple of times where he ran through. Neelan made a decent save in the second half as well. And obviously he scored the winner, which we'll come on to a little bit later. But, that's not right.
No.
And Steve Bruce is a centre-half by trade.
I know.
If he says Jedinak is a centre-back, we should be able to trust him that he is a centre-back.
It takes years, you would think, to learn your craft. And you can't just move somebody from centre midfield into centre-back, on a whim like that.
Yeah.
And the guy's made so many mistakes. And, you often wonder, God, is Bruce doing this because he's trying to put all the blame onto the players? Is he trying to shift the negativity onto the players because he knows there's a potential howler within Jedinak? But there's just so much space at the back. And the year we went down, for me, it was toxic on the pitch.
Yep.
It was, for me, that squad of players were a disgrace, an absolute disgrace. This season and last season, for me, there's a real bond, there's a real unity on that pitch. It's not the fault, it's not the problem on the pitch, it's the problems off the pitch now. It's the management. It's the lack of preparation, it's the lack of idea. It's the lack of what are we going to do next. I mean, I think what summed it all up was whenever Bruce said in his pre-match about how dangerous Forest area was going to be on Saturday, potentially, and he was suspended.
Yeah, that's not ideal, is it? When your manager doesn't know who he's coming up against.
Real basic stuff.
Yeah.
Real basic stuff.
Because that's a completely, the concern here is it's not just not knowing, but, you presumably set your team up to counter what's going to happen. If you think Forestieri is a completely different player to, say, Matthias or Fletcher, it's completely different.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
how do we not know this?
What were they working on?
That's absolute basics.
What were they working on during the week?
That's deeply concerning. So Marco Matthias gets the opening goal for Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, very good finish. Reacted first, and there's not a lot Neelan can do about that one early in the second half, and you just think, okay, heads might go down here. Credit to Villa. Jack Grealish has an early chance, and then John McGinn scores one of the best goals Villa Park has seen in a very, very long time, I would say. But we'll come on to the greatness of that goal and how it levels up a little bit later on, because we need to talk about something joyous. So, like I say earlier, you think at that point, that's enough to lift everybody. You see all the lads kind of ripping their hands up.
All season, I'd say a good 85% of the goals against us haven't been great goals. They've come from mistakes. They've come from individual mistakes. And a lot of that is down to lack of experience from the goalkeeper, playing players out of position, which then leaves an unbalance within the starting 11. Yes, you look at James Chester's tackle in the Reading game.
Yeah.
But for me, it was a good tackle. Yeah, he shouldn't have gone down and he should have made the tackle, but it was a good tackle.
He made the referee make a decision, didn't he?
But, it's the guys, it's like his only mistake in 2 years. So I can't blame him for that because mistakes happen. And we should have been far enough ahead in that game for that mistake not to have cost us the game, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But it's just individual errors. So you say, McGinn's worldly and we get back on level terms and we kick on. I wasn't expecting us to kick on.
Well,
I knew there was another mistake in us or another goal in in Wednesday.
Yeah, but I mean, we did kick on for about 5 minutes where there was Hourihane had the best of our chances. If you take out McGinn's, obviously his wonder goal.
Hourihane
had
good
2 or
efforts,
3,
actually, yeah.
and one was cleared away by a stray foot from
which was good defending.
I can't remember who it was, Pudic or someone like that, Pudil. So we do have a few chances, but then Sheffield Wednesday just get back on top. And this is, I had this as a separate whole subject in my notes, but we went from 4-4-2, which wasn't working. We changed it up to make it a 4-3-3, put Grealish back in the middle where he's most comfortable on. And I know Dan Bardell, who is still sunning himself in Barbados, wanted us to talk about this.
He's been in the gym most of the holiday.
Very boring, isn't he?
God.
Go swimming with the turtles or something.
Have a day off, Bardell, would you?
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I don't know. We go back to 4-3-3. Grealish back in the middle, and you can see he's starting to make those runs that have become so commonplace with Grealish. And yet, then we score, and then we go back to 4-4-2. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why play the hot hand? Play the 4-3-3.
Well, for me, 4-3-3 is our best formation. It's where we got most of our joy last season. I think, but we had more of a balance last season going forward out of the back. But I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I mean, as I said last week, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it seems to be a common theme at the minute with Aston Villa. He plays a different formation in pre-season, scraps it at the end of the pre-season, plays, he's played a 4-3-3, he's chopping and changing, plays a 4-4-2 against Blackburn in the second half, or towards the end of the game. Hourihane scores a worldly free kick, thinks, well, this is it, I've cracked it. 4-4-2, this is it. Plays it against Rotherham, a bang average awful Rotherham, who for me you shouldn't be gauging anything against.
Yeah.
And as you said, plays it against Wednesday, doesn't work, goes to 4-3-3, get back in the game and then goes back to it. That's fundamentally, that falls at his door.
Yeah.
Those players are being instructed to play in a certain way and in a certain formation. And as I said, I don't lay a lot of the blame at the players' doors because we know how talented that bunch are. We know how good they are.
Yeah.
And it's just not happening for one reason or another. There's something not right. And this season already, we're only 9-10 games in, but this season already just has the feel of another just mid-table, bland, typical Aston Villa season.
So Stephen Fletcher is the one that grabs the winner. It's a Pelupesi, I think is how you say his name, puts in a kind of looping, hopeful cross, and Fletcher's the one. He kind of gets in between, I think, Chester and it may be Hutton.
Hutton's about 3 miles away.
Yeah, but there's a big confusion, and you and I were talking on the train a little bit about this. I didn't think that Neelan had a bad game, made a couple of decent saves and closed down a couple of chances from Matthias for one, made a good save against Fletcher as well. Had a decent game, but there seems to be some nerves from the back four that we've seen all season.
Because it hasn't settled,
Is that on the keeper? Do people feel nervous about the keeper, or just generally?
I think the keeper with his start has made everyone nervous.
Yeah. Very poor against Sheffield United.
I mean, he's just been very poor in general.
But didn't necessarily do anything wrong. Like, he wasn't at fault for the goals.
He wasn't at fault for those goals, but I just think his presence is just making everybody really nervous within the back four. And it doesn't help when he gets jeered 10 minutes into his debut.
I agree.
But are those jeers kind of justified because he's had a couple of real shockers?
But how's that going to help?
It's not going to help. It's not going to help. But you're right. It's just a mishmash of players at the back.
Yeah.
Apart from Chester, who is a class act. Hutton's had a bad season at left back. It's not been working, but he seems to play Al Hutton week. He seems to love to play Al Hutton. El Mohammadi's been okay, but what's going to happen to Tuanzebe? Where's he?
Yeah.
Where was he on Saturday? I mean, what was going on with that?
Yeah.
Because Jednak has a good game against Rotherham, he thinks, fine, I'll just stick him in against Wednesday.
And we've had a few questions about Tuanzebe, like why was he brought in? I mean, there was an excellent, and I can't remember who to give credit for, but like a question, a mock question and answer session with Bruce and a journalist, and it's like, yeah, but Bruce, why are you playing this? And he's like, well, we're doing that. But why did you bring in 4 wingers then? Oh, because we're going to play wingers. Then why did you bring in McGinn? Because he doesn't fit. Oh, because we want to play 3 in the midfield. Well, where are you going to fit all these guys? And where's Twanzebe going to go? And it just summarises perfectly the apparent confusion around the signings and the tactics. There's a good question here, DAM McGuffey. Is Bruce starting to lose the dressing room, or do you think he might have already lost it? And do you get the sense that the players want someone new in with fresh ideas? Before you answer, Chris, I just want to... We obviously have no idea. We're not in the changing room, but... Like I was at the Sheffield United game when we literally had no clue at all, and the players looked defeated. There was a point about 60 or so minutes in, I think we were already 4-0 down, and Hutton lost the ball and just kind of shrugged his shoulders. He was just, it wasn't like he wasn't trying, it was just like he had no idea. He had no idea what to do now because we're getting absolutely battered away from home, and it feels a bit like that to me now with Grealish out on the left, or Hutton left back, or just everything that's not really fitting. It just feels like it's all coming home to roost at this point, where Hutton was always a temporary measure, and yet it's turned into a permanent measure.
At left back as well.
At left back. So these things just aren't fitting. So sorry, I've kind of dominated that question.
It's just like I said. He seems to be making these things up as they go along. And he's almost trying to overcompensate for last season whenever he didn't rotate as much.
Yeah.
Whenever we went through that spell of beating Wolves and then getting beat by QPR or whatever it would be. And we had a few games like that on the Tuesday night when we just kind of ran out of legs. And he seems to now be going the other way, rotating every game, not having a settled side, chopping and changing formations. And it's just not working, and I can't understand. I would just love, do you know what it is? I think I would just, and speaking, I think I could speak on behalf of a lot of fans. We'd just love to have some kind of like statement from somebody, whether it be Purslow or the owners, about what their plan is. They bang on about, we want to get Villa back to the top tier where they belong. Well, how are we going to do that?
Purslo's been very quiet since.
Very quiet.
I don't think he's released a statement about him arriving at all.
No, so we don't know what's going on. We don't know the plan. We don't know what's in place. And that's the big. Everything just seems to be game by game, week by week.
Yep.
Without any form of planning or like strategy. There's nothing.
Yeah, we're talking of week by week. Oakley Dokley, in all seriousness, how silly from 1 to 10 does Bruce's rant look right now after the Rotherham game? You're talking about that. He obviously gloated a little bit after the Tuesday night game, saying that it was all nonsense and he knew what he was doing and the intelligent fans knew what he was doing. Does he look a bit like a Burke at this point?
He's looked like a Burke for quite a few months now.
It's hard, isn't it? Because I don't want to come on. I think I actually had a dream about Steve Bruce last night, and we sat down and we had a chat, and I came out of it going, oh, yeah, Bruce is an all right guy. Like
he is. I'm
not attacking anybody personally. I'm sure Bruce had a ton to deal with, and I don't want to get into that last season.
What gets me is, some of the nonsense, and I sound like Bruce by saying the word nonsense, but some of the tweets you read on the AVFC hashtag. I'm all for people having an opinion, but whenever people get personal, and start tweeting the Sun, it's embarrassing. That's not having an opinion. That's just being stupid. That's just really, that's like the lowest form of wit. Why would you start attacking his family? There's no need for that.
Totally agree.
If you're gonna be critical, be constructive. Have something to back it up. Don't just start branding nonsense about towards his family, because that's not going to help anyone. You know, but it's hard. It's difficult. It's difficult when whenever you can blatantly see what's going on. It's like watching like an old relative pass away. You just want it to come to an end and put them out of the misery.
It's possible to be subjective and say that you think that Bruce's time is up, and yet not be personally attacking the man. Like it's a man doing a job,
and we're tweeting his son, Alex Bruce. What's that about? What's he going to do?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
This is Steve Bruce's job, and it's a problem. And if you don't want Aston Villa to have Steve Bruce as a manager, that is absolutely fine. No problem with that. If that's your opinion, and that is an awful lot of people's opinions now. But there's a difference between attacking the job and attacking the man. Stephen Deakin says here, because I asked for anything positive gets bonus points, so Stephen Deakin's tried his best. Over 35k attendance, very, very good. Best goal at Villa Park for years, which we'll come on to. But that's all I've got, I'm afraid. These two things are evident. Bruce won't walk, and we still have no idea what type of football we play. Hashtag long ball, hashtag passing, hashtag who knows. So he won't walk.
Well, do you think he'll walk?
I don't think he'll walk. We talked about this on the train, didn't we? And it's a bit like the gambling adverts. When the fun stops, stop. It can't be fun for Bruce. No. Like, he's obviously not on social media. He's not bothered about that kind of thing. But he must know the vitriol that's coming from him. And
clearly, whenever he watches Kendrick's online review.
Yeah, but even that,
he obviously watches it, you know.
Yeah, but he can turn off if he wants. I hope he's not sadistic enough to go and watch it. But like when the boos start ringing around Villa Park and the people always say that once the away fans go, and they did go at Sheffield United, a lot of them, that was a big turning point. There's no fun in management. No. Steve Bruce has made a great career out of being a wonderful player and a long-time manager. He's done an awful lot of good in the game. He can't be having fun at this point.
Especially a man at his age with a few quid in the bank as well.
And a family.
And a family and grandkids and all the rest of it, and a nice gaff in Portugal, where I believe he was.
And he can play golf. He loves golf, right?
But I believe there's another big negative about it as well. I believe that's where he was whenever we were on the international break. People have been sort of tweeting, Bruce was in Portugal. Why wasn't he on the training pitch? Why wasn't he? Why wasn't he just looking at the youngsters? Why wasn't he? Looking at our next few fixtures and planning things and working with the players that weren't on international duty. Why wasn't he there? Because we're not in any position to be going off on holiday. We're just not.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads on to Dean Caffrey. Do you think the media are too soft on Bruce? Other high-profile managers are grilled every week on their decisions. Why not Bruce?
Very, very soft.
There does feel like...
I even felt that Matt Kendrick's article was very soft. It was more constructive because he spoke about the good points. He spoke about what was going, and Bruce has done an awful lot of good as well. I mean,
so I think you should do that, though. That's
totally,
good journalism,
totally,
right?
yeah. And I thought it was constructive, and I thought it was bang on the money. But he just didn't like it because he probably knows that deep down he's right.
Yeah,
he knows.
And I mean, that Greg Evans as well. I really like Greg Evans generally, but over the last couple of weeks, he's been very pro Bruce
and Rigo as well,
which is odd.
Some of the questions that he gets asked post-match are a dream come true.
Yeah.
I can answer them.
Yeah.
You grill me more in here than he gets paid.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my job.
And I don't get paid for it.
Trained journalist, mate.
Well, it's true.
What else have we got here? Daniel Southall, nice goal, but bitterly disappointed with the performance and results recently. 3 wins in 9 so far for the Villa. Need change now, and the longer we wait, the less likely we go up. Would you take the chance now on a foreign or inexperienced manager instead of Bruce?
I mean, what do you mean by inexperienced of that?
Well, I guess
inexperienced.
Let's say Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry.
No, I wouldn't go Henry.
Would you not?
No.
What have you got to lose? If we stay with Bruce, are we going to go?
After seeing what I've seen this season, I'd even take Mark Delaney, for the interim, just to get a bit of passion back into it, a change has to come. It has to come. I mean, it's so blatantly obvious. It's just there, and I would just love to know what the owners are thinking. I would love to know what they're saying that we're not.
Yeah, because
what are they saying that we're not? It's so obvious.
When they first came in, there was a lot of talk that it would be Henry. Like I think the odds, you couldn't even get odds on it. That point.
I mean, if you put things into black and white, and you're given a job description or you're given a remit. His remit was, okay, he came in whenever Di Matteo got the sack, steadied the ship, And he built from the back. And we all thought, okay, right, not great, but it'll settle down. You know, we had a few good results, and then we had an awful January. And then we kind of clawed our way back. And then he was like, right, give me a pre-season. Give me a pre-season, and I'll show you what I'm about.
Yeah.
Give him the pre-season, and you know the amount of I can't even swear on this podcast.
You certainly cannot.
But the amount of boo-boos that were made last season in games that we should have won. It's just, you know, it's incredible, you know. And he's been given. He keeps on saying, you know, give me this time, give me this time, give me that time. Even this season, he's like, does me after 15 games. You know, he keeps on setting himself these little targets, and he hasn't met any of them. He hasn't met any of them.
Tell you what really frustrated me, and this didn't get picked up too much. I got Bruce's post-match here.
I thought he sounded a man. I thought he sounded defeated.
I can understand people's frustrations. This is Bruce after the game. I can understand people's frustrations and disappointments, but that's only the 5th time in my 2 years that we've been beaten here. Somebody's fed him that line.
Excuse after excuse. Man up.
We know he obviously doesn't know that off the top of his head that they've lost 5 times. Nobody knows that, apart from maybe Dan, because Dan's weird with that kind of information. But it's difficult at the moment. No matter what I do, in some people's eyes, I'm not going to be the right fit. You're not the right fit because you're not winning any games.
Yeah.
And it's really important to consider the calibre of teams that we've been playing. We've been playing a bunch of teams in the bottom half of the table, a couple of which are in the bottom 3, and we're not winning. We're losing or picking up draws and scraping through some of them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's disastrous.
Yeah, it's been awful. It's been awful. It's just like to the point now where on Saturday I didn't really. It's like, all right, well, I expected that.
That's the norm.
You know, I wasn't going to go home and start crying in the McCurry. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it was just what you come to expect. I've been a Villa fan since 1993, and unfortunately, this is my time. This is the time where it's all going a bit wrong and it's all a bit bleak. And every fan has an era that just isn't great.
Yeah.
And this is, you know, unfortunately we've had it now for the last decade. Yeah. You know, since when they left, it's been pretty bleak.
Lord Castle of Aston, if we are serious about automatic promotion this season, then how many more games with similar results can we afford until Bruce is gone? I personally think that it's already too late. Now, this is where...
he thinks it's too late, as in...
He thinks Bruce should have been gone at this point. But the caveat to that is that automatic promotion is not out of the window yet. So Dan's point has always been he won't go until there's no chance that we will get promotion, I think. Yeah. If I'm not misquoting Dan, and I'm sure Dan will let me know if I'm getting him wrong. But we will never be out of the mix. Like, one more win. We beat Bristol City on Friday night and we're back in the mix again. If is a big question. But that's the problem, Lord Castle, is that we don't know. Because you said it earlier, we don't know what the owners are thinking at this point. But if the Suarez and Eden's partnership is looking at it and going, well, we win on Friday, we're back into 7th, we're back into 6th, something like that, then... This is what I'm saying. They need to.
What about if we get? We get in somebody that can come in and as Bruce says, breathe new life into the team, into the players, into the create a philosophy, breathe new life into the fans, into the stadium, and create. You know, it's kind of like. I've always said it, like Villa. I mean, it's such a massive club, and it's, you know, the old phrase, you know, a sleeping giant. But if you can get it right. Wow, what a place to manage. Mm-hmm. What a place to play.
And what players to play with.
I mean, amazing. And that's the frustration.
Yeah.
I said it last week, and I think there was a question in there today, or a question a couple of days ago that was sent over to me. You know, would we be happy if we were in this position without the investment that we've had? Absolutely. I'd be happy.
Yeah. We talked about that last week. Yeah,
and we did, and that was us when we were 6th.
Yeah,
absolutely, because it was dire. But whenever you can afford to pay, Yannick Bolasie 80 grand a week, and you're throwing money at that, why can't we throw money at the management side of things?
Yeah. Well,
at the structure.
Yeah, because I don't think...
At back of house, the whole setup,
If I'm not mistaken, and I may well be mistaken because I'm totally confused by financial fair play, I don't know if management compensation actually
but
counts.
He's on a ruling contract.
Right, but I'm sure there will be something. I would be very shocked if there wasn't anything to pay. And usually with these kind of things, it's still a pretty chunky payout.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Bolasie 80k a week?
It doesn't bother me. If we can afford him, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
People say, oh, well, it's scuppered John Terry's move. Well, John Terry wasn't going to come in and all of a sudden turn us into,
But could we have done with
beaters?
Could we have done with John Terry and Andre Green rather than Bolasie and no John Terry? Do you think that we'd be in a better position?
Kept Elphick.
Yeah, but so you think
that we
would
have been fine?
You think that would be better?
Jed Steer,
Elphick and
Clark,
Elphick and Bolasie versus Andre Green and John Terry.
Yeah,
you'd take Bolasie. Would you?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Because Andre Green's still very raw. I think it's a good move for Andre Green, all things considered, because he's got a bit of a shocker first touch when you look at it. He reminds you of Gabby back in the day when Gabby's first touch used to take him a mile away from where he was running into. But for me, Bolasie and Elphick would have been. But even Elphick and Chester as a partnership is very, very good at that level.
Well, we haven't seen it grow, have we? We haven't seen that relationship. And we talked again, I don't want to be a broken record, but we haven't seen a relationship between two centre-backs being able to grow because it's been Twanzebe, then Jednak, then Twanzebe.
It's just so frustrating.
Yeah. Enzo Bedingfield, it's becoming more and more noticeable that we are heavily reliant on moments of individual brilliance rather than team performances.
Yeah.
So frustrating and has to be the end of the line for Bruce. Smithy, Bruce identified a centre-back as a requirement, and when he failed, went out and got another winger. In an ideal world, we'd have had both and a left-back, but these sorts of decisions are mind-boggling. We're now left with a central defensive midfielder covering and Twanzebe on the bench.
I'll give him his dues. He did try and sign a few central defenders, but they didn't come off for whatever reason. But you should still have a backup plan. You don't loan out your only other centre back in the club.
Yeah, and talking about players like James Collins and stuff just seems really uninspiring.
Just typical Bruce, no thought behind it. Let's just emergency plan B, plan E, plan F. There's nothing like it just doesn't make sense.
Tom, WICT01 on Twitter, at what point do we resign ourselves to another year in this division? Now, see, I kind of go back to this slightly. I'm on 1% battery here, Chris, and 6% on this one. Absolutely struggling on the old phone issues. I don't think we do need to resign ourselves too much because the Championship is so open. I still think under Bruce, we could get to January, February and we'll still be in touching distance of the playoffs.
Not the way we're playing now.
I think this division is so open, you'll be 13th, 14th and a couple of wins, you'll be up to 8th. And then
a couple of wins?
Yeah.
Where are they going to come from?
Because they're going to come. The Championship, it comes. This is where people get divided about Bruce, I think. Some people think that it's still okay because he's within touching distance, and that's what he's saying himself. There or thereabouts is absolutely typical, right? But that's what we talked about before is expectation, and we should be better than that. We should be automatic.
I'm just going to play a little game, right? Me and you, just off the cuff.
Right, okay. I'm usually the one that comes up with games.
You've just said about these wins coming.
Yeah.
Because they come apparently, right? I'm going to do the next 5, okay?
Okay.
Right. Bristol away, Friday night.
No.
Preston home, Tuesday.
Yes.
Millwall away.
Yes.
Swansea at home.
No.
Norwich away.
Push.
Okay, so how many points
and then
is that?
QPR after that.
How many points is that?
7, 8. But you're getting off the point. You're getting off the point of automatics. I feel like the playoffs is always so open. You see a team that are 13th or something.
We
come
can't
from
afford
nowhere.
to go. We have to blow that league away.
I totally agree.
Playoffs should be our last resort. It should be top 2s without a doubt.
Oh, I totally agree. But this is where
Bruce is getting into your head.
I'm trying to be on the side of Bruce apologetic here, and that's not reflective of my view, as you well know. But that's where the kind of split comes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's difficult because I don't agree. I think we should be hitting automatics, and it's very, very frustrating to watch the way we're playing.
At an absolute minimum.
Yeah, but but what I'm saying, to Tom's point, do we resign ourselves that we're going to be in the Championship again?
If we carry on the way we're playing.
Well, let's have a look at the table now, because
carry on with this lack of.
We've got Leeds and Middlesbrough tied at the top on 18 points from 9 games. West Brom, annoyingly, 1 point behind them, and then Sheffield United, Wigan, and Derby all on 16 points. That makes up the top 6 so far. Villa down in 13th on 13 points, so 3 points off the playoff positions, and looking a bit sad. And obviously Bristol City coming up on Friday night. They sit 8th at the moment, just a couple of points, or just 1 point above us. But that's what I'm talking about. It's so close.
Lost the last 2 as well.
It's so close. It's going to be it's a horrible time because we're playing terrible football. Turgid football. It's been the word of the podcast for the last few weeks, and that's where the frustration comes. I want to see good football. I said
it last week. Sport is an entertainment.
Yeah.
And it's now becoming a business.
Well, I thought it was really telling that
it's a business.
Max Roberts on fan cams.
Mr. Aston Villa, Mr. Hardcore.
Absolutely. You should go and watch fan cams as well straight after this. Don't switch off.
Is he a pilot?
I think he's a flight attendant. I don't know. Let us know, Max Roberts.
He came up on my Facebook, people who I may know, and he's decked out in like a pilot.
Oh, maybe he's a pilot.
Yeah. So, cool.
Not sure. Good for you, Max Roberts, whatever you're doing. Good for you. He said that he didn't want to go and watch the Villa anymore because that's how depressing it was. And it's totally true. Like, we've got Millwall and QPR coming up. That's £100 for those 2 away days, and that doesn't cost us anything in terms of getting there.
Yeah,
so those are two games that we could feasibly go to, buy tickets for, and go. But it kind of makes you go, I've got to put some time in with my wife, and maybe I don't want to waste an afternoon spending time to watch terrible
just
football.
Sick of being miserable, like. And I'm just sitting there thinking miserable, just bored and miserable.
That's exactly what the podcast and the fan cams felt to me.
We sat in the train on the way here and we're like, oh God, I was sitting tied to Villa for an hour.
Yeah.
But you say it becomes so repetitive.
Yeah.
Because why is it becoming repetitive? Because nothing's changing.
Well,
nothing's being done about it.
AVFC 1874. Doesn't matter who we get to replace Bruce. The attitude, football, tactics, arrogance has to stop.
Yeah.
Even if reserve coach takes over temporarily until new manager comes in, Bruceism has to stop.
We've spent 38 minutes now talking about the same subject.
Yeah.
And it's and you could just go out in circles.
Yeah.
And we have been going out in circles. The club's been going out in circles. No matter how much money you throw at it, if you haven't got the right person to coach those players, then it's not going to work.
The crazy thing was, you look around the league, and there's been some mad results. Birmingham beat Leeds 2-1 away.
Yeah, but this happens. This is like, you get freak results.
Yeah.
It's not freak with us. It's becoming consistently poor with us.
Yeah.
It's a consistently poor set of results.
Yeah.
We got beat by Wednesday last season, 2-1 at our place. And we'd come off the back of a couple of good wins. And it's just one of those. You can have a bad day at the office, but how many times have we heard Bruce come out and go, "Oh, it's just one of those nightmare afternoons"? How many times have we heard that?
Yeah.
How many times?
Very, very disappointing. Jeremy Jezza Tokyo, do our owners realise that we won't be able to attract the likes of Abraham Balassi next season, and therefore our best chance of going up is to have a manager who can coach the team to play a style of football? I just want to say at this point, there are so many questions on Bruce here, and the overwhelming feeling. I was
really tossed at the amount of people I got.
Yeah.
It was like, I watched you going, man, look at the questions we got today. It was pretty like, you couldn't possibly read them all out. There's so many of them.
And I want to again thank you guys. We try our best to answer as many as possible. Obviously, we can't read them all because a lot of them are about Bruce,
Similar
and
things.
we don't want to go on because we've already done 39 minutes. And to be honest, if you're still watching and still listening about Bruce, then fair play to you.
Fair play.
Let's talk about the one highlight of Saturday.
Sick of seeing that goal now.
You're sick of seeing the goal, aren't you? I think
just like
because it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. It's a great goal.
You've totally killed my next segment.
Well, you can talk. I'll just sit back and you can talk about it.
Well, I kind of put it out there. It's like, is this one of the best goals you've seen at Villa Park in a long time?
Unbelievable, yeah.
And it was. I mean, if it had been a 2-1 winner, then we wouldn't stop talking about it ever. I'll tell you what's really got on your goat, hasn't it? The fact that Aston Villa used it as Monday motivation.
Maybe it was them, or maybe it was another fan side. Like there was somebody used it, and you're like, what are you doing that for?
Yeah. Well, to me, it made me.
I'm not motivated.
It made me, because I knew that we were going to have to talk about it. So I was like, where is the positivity? How can we get some good stuff coming out? So I looked at a few old goals and I was just thinking about the best goals that I remember. Obviously, Gary Cahill
Yeah,
at
amazing.
Birmingham, that stood out to me as one of the best goals I remember from my generation. And then I looked at Juan Pablo Angel's goal against Chelsea.
Loved it. Whenever he did the thing.
So good. Run to the corner flag.
What a dude.
And then I was like, well, Thomas Hitzelsberger always scored a cracker. But I was like,
every
goal. So he scored 12 or 13 goals. And I watched a compilation of them this morning. They're all brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, if you want...
Hence the nickname.
Yeah, the hammer. If you want to just cheer yourself up, go and watch the Hitzelsberger compilation on YouTube, because it is just a joy to watch. I got a couple of here: Arsenal, West Brom, Liverpool, all in his first season. They're just amazing goals. And then you go back a little bit, the goals that I don't remember. I don't know if you remember Dalian Atkinson's run in 1993. I've obviously seen it a few times. But
He was one of my first kind of Villa heroes.
yeah, because obviously you were from '93, right?
Such a swagger, you know.
So I was only 3 at that time. So
Such a swagger.
yeah, and that was just brilliant to see. And then when you see players like Jack Grealish come through, but be stifled a little bit. And then obviously Tony Morley as well scored wonderful goals. And then we had a couple of great goals last season as well.
Couple of great team goals last season, actually. Obviously Grealish's volley, her hands volley against Birmingham was superb.
Yeah.
Hogan's goal against Burton when we had that stunning pass from Snodgrass that just cut open everyone. And done was a lovely little layoff.
Yeah. There were some brilliant goals last year. So let us know in the comments where McGinn's ranks for you.
I loved Carbone's against
Benito
Leeds.
Carbone, yeah.
Against Leeds. That I believe, was that in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup? Merson scored. See, this wasn't at Villa Park. But one of my all-time favourite Villa goals was that Merson lob.
Oh, yeah.
Against Everton.
Yeah, lovely.
In the last minute. It's just everything about it. Andy Gray's commentary was brilliant. John Gregory's reaction was brilliant. Just Merson was just a class act.
Poor Merson.
Possibly one of my all-time favourite Villa players. Like just a genius.
You know how you and Dan have got all your celebrity friends?
Yeah.
You've got Paul Merson's number.
Do you?
Yeah, I used to work quite closely when he's a big NFL guy.
Is he really?
So yeah, I used to call him up every week and get his NFL predictions.
No way.
Yeah. Me and
Nice guy.
Me and Merce like this.
Nice bloke.
Well, we're not like this. He won't return my calls
Why
anymore.
isn't he on the podcast? Get him on.
He's not bothered about me anymore.
Space in there for
Yeah, that's true.
space in there for Paul Merson. Paul, if you're watching it, you can sit here and do it.
Please jump in, Paul. The other news that come out today, Jack Grealish signed a new contract, 5 years, worth around 50 grand a week to the 23-year-old. Good news for Aston Villa, good news for Grealish. Oh, Chris, I need some positivity from you, man.
It's just gone up his price tag. That's all it is, really.
That's good for the club, no?
It's good for the club, but like, what we need him. We need to keep him. Listen, I am being very negative today.
You are.
I'm sorry.
And your mum's just messaged
Your
you.
mum, well, she's in Madeira. She's loving life.
Oh, well.
They've just gone off to Madeira for a week.
You're on holiday soon.
Friday.
I'm stuck here.
No, it's great news, but I don't know. It's hard to get excited about anything, you know. Like, it's hard to get up for any Villa news because where it matters is on the pitch.
Yeah,
that's where it matters. You know, it doesn't really. And then obviously, whenever we had the whole Delph contract fiasco, so you're always a little bit like, you know,
the sellout clause is
on the
supposed to be a lot more chunky, isn't it, for this one? I think 60 million is what I read. I don't know anything official about it, but 60 million is the buyout clause. Sorry, if it were to happen, but I mean, it's good that Grealish has kind of committed his future, but we haven't seen the best of Grealish in the last few games, and I don't know whether that's because
he's been moved around
out on the left. Do you think that's why it is?
I'm sure he's having doubts. I'm sure he's frustrated about not getting this move, especially how the season's gone so far. I'm sure he's like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
because he's by far and away the best player we have in that team, and by far and away the best player in that league. So I'm sure there's a level of frustration. I just think, like, when you read Perslow's quotes, and he talks about like the long-term future, and he's going to play a pivotal role in bringing Villa back to where they belong, and it's like, well, he's been in the team all season, and we're nowhere near where we should be. It's going to take more than Jack Grealish to bring us back to where we belong.
Yeah,
we need
confidence.
We need someone in charge who's going to take us to that next level.
Yeah.
And we're not even. For me, Jack was so good at the end of last season because we built the team around him. And as a few of the people quite rightly mentioned in the questions, there's a lot of individuals at the minute. A lot of players who are there, like, playing within themselves as individuals. There's very little team cohesion, and that's where it's all a little bit fragmented for me, and it's not clicking.
Shout out to AVFC.
What do you think about the contracts?
Well, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been a little bit frustrated with Grealish and about him not playing
in his favourite position.
And I think you're absolutely right. I think he feeds on the confidence of the team, and he's such a great just a confidence player, and when we look a little bit frail at the back, that obviously rubs off on the rest of the team, and we just haven't seen the best of Grealish in the last 3-4 games. But he's signed his future now, and hopefully his head is squarely faced.
He deserves it.
He's been underpaid for a long time.
Yeah, totally. And the kid's been carrying the club for the last sort of season and a half.
Yeah.
And you're right. So if anything, I'm happy for him because he deserves that contract.
Yep.
And we'll see what happens. We'll see what Let's hope it is an actual 5-year deal. Let's hope we see him for another 5 years.
Well, I mean, it'll depend on Villa, won't it?
That's it.
If we struggle, then he will go, because he's a top class player and he's got ambitions, and he obviously loves the club. But
there's only so much he can take.
Your career is not that long. He's got 10 to 12 years maximum.
At the top, yeah.
And he's got to make the most of it. Shout out to AVFC_J, by the way. He made the notes and he was very pleased about that, about the formation change, and I never gave him the shout out that he deserved. So there you go, AVFC_J. Martin Danks, who I think is a Wolves fan. I think you have good players. That's not in any doubt, bar the goalkeeper and defence. Well, we talked about that. I hope that's not gum. You got a lot of telling off for gum, didn't you?
I got mints this weekend.
Okay, good. There are other mints available. I do have my doubts as to whether you have the right personnel players to play a progressive style, Grealish aside. Shelley, at Shelley Aussie, we could do with a ball-playing defensive midfielder. I wanted us to loan Alex Garcia in the summer. Brett Leader calls me out for my bonus points. He wants to know where they go to. It's just bonus points for me, I don't know, my love, essentially, Brett.
But you today, you won the bowling and I asked you what you got for it and you just said,
oh yeah,
like bonus points.
Team social today.
Respect.
Big Tom Julian wins the bowling. 131.
Yeah,
solid performance.
Is that a good score?
I think anything over 100 is generally popular.
I've bowled in about 10 years.
Have you not?
No.
Since you grew up?
I've bowled since I became an adult.
Yeah, fair enough. I like a bit of bowling, to be fair. Yeah. Joe Ireland, do you think now more than ever that Villa regret letting Nathan Baker go last season? You talked about Elphick, but Nathan Baker was a decent player.
Good point. Yeah, very good player. Had his moments, didn't he? But even looking back now at Kieran Clark,
Yeah.
You know, you'd have him back in the side, wouldn't you? You'd have Kieran Clark back in the side.
Again, poorly managed.
Badly. Well, that was Di Matteo. You're
Yeah,
right. Badly
sure.
managed. I'd have Baker back in the side without a doubt. I thought him and Chester towards the end of the first season formed a very good partnership. I think we went on a run of was it 7 or 8 clean sheets?
Yeah.
We went, you know,
Yeah.
and it just clicked, and there was a base.
Back when life was good.
Well, it wasn't that good. We're still like 11th, but
Yeah.
there was a foundation there,
Yeah.
and I'm not seeing it this year.
As he criticised my positivity system, Brett Leader then comes in on a positive note. Dan Bardell appears to be having a nice holiday, like you say, in the gym quite a lot. Do you think he's bored?
I don't know.
Why don't you go snorkeling with the turtles? I did that in Barbados.
Go to the gym and then post pictures of himself on the treadmill.
Boring. You're boring.
I know, mate.
Where are we? A lot of Martin
Although
Danks.
shirt, that was a rascal shirt that he.
What was it? Was it
had on.
flowery or was it to have bananas on
I
or
don't know.
something?
It was like, it was rascal. See, I've got a shirt as well. I've got a rascal shirt that I'm going to bring with me on holiday on Friday.
Have you?
So if you want, I can post my rascal shirt and we can compare.
Yeah.
We can see who wins the battle of the rascal shirts.
I've got a really bad shirt as well. Do you want me to wear that? Just on the podcast.
All your shirts are pretty bad.
Set myself up for that one.
You could do like a dodgy jumper or something.
What do you mean, dodgy? Somebody said this was very nice. Nice winter wear.
Nice and bubbly.
It is bubbly, isn't it?
Even more so than last week's.
I mean, I think I put this through a non-wool wash, and that's caused me all sorts of grief.
I do love on the clothing side of things. We have to talk a little bit of clothing week in, week out when I'm on here. I love the tracky top that Grealish has got on.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Another great piece from Luke Roper.
Really nice. The quarter zip on the other tracksuit top as well.
Lovely.
It's blue, dark blue, and it just goes down there. It's
really nice.
Glorious. Absolutely glorious.
I'll be in medium if anyone's watching in that.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks, Luke. 2 of those. Great. You'll never see it, by the way. Yeah. Dan's away, so what the heck from Villa Mad. Villa Mad, Dan's away, so you get your comment on. Early season thoughts on your 2 teams for the Super Bowl. Can't be bothered with talking about Bruce.
I replied, I'll let you take that away.
Yeah.
It's for you, that one.
This is a Villa podcast, but I have said to Villa Mad that we should just set up a anything but Villa podcast that we can just talk about other exciting things. We talk about music, fashion,
We try and cover.
We do, don't we?
We try and cover a lot of bases.
My Super Bowl predictions are flying out the window rapidly. The Jacksonville Jaguars had a terrible game last night against the Titans in their division. Seems fair. I do like the Atlanta Falcons though in the NFC. What do you think about them?
Great stuff.
Yeah. What about the Las Vegas Rough Riders?
Yeah, they're great too.
Fancy them?
Yeah.
Good. Bonus points, you say, says Rob Prince. Okay, if you had to swap one first-team player for one animal, what would it be and which animal would you choose? Does this animal...
Bizarre question.
Does the animal play?
Don't know.
Or do you just get it as a pet?
It's bizarre. Who's it?
Rob Prince. Second question, same as above, but narrow it down to farmyard animals, please. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to think, and I'm going to go off the top of my head here. My first thought was a tiger. I mean, tigers are pretty vicious, and you put that at centre-back, and nobody's going to come near you.
Yeah.
That's going to sort out some of our defensive woes. James Chester might lose a leg, but nobody's going to touch you at the back. If you had to narrow it down to a farmyard animal... Wow, that's a tough one. I'm trying to think of just farmyard animals generally. Like a horse, maybe? It's a bit like having Gabby and Bonlahall back, isn't it?
Yeah, off the first touch. I'd go for a cheetah.
A cheetah? Oh, nice.
Pace wins all day long for me. A farmyard animal. A rooster.
A rooster? Why?
Don't know, it sounds good.
Okay, good.
Create some atmosphere in the stadium.
Yeah, fine. Yanoslav Pushkin, definitely pronounced that right. My first game at Villa Park this season, I presume that was Sheffield Wednesday. It was seemingly no plan in place. Sheffield Wednesday went long to Fletcher last season. Fulham possession and Cardiff play on break with no possession, etc. What should Villa's playing plan be with these players? I refuse to say philosophy. Villa have the players to play good, intricate passing football. We've seen it happen, and we should be playing with Grealish as the engine man, the guy that makes all these things tick, in my humble opinion. We've got Balassi on one wing. We've got El Ghazi, who looks bright and sparky, on another.
He looks lost to me.
But it could be. Yeah. But could be a good player. Tammy Abraham likes to pick the ball up. Jonathan Kodja likes to pick the ball up. Hurahan picks a pass as well as any. McGinn wins it back for you. We have the energy to play a high-tempo, pressing game, and we just don't. And that for me is the problem.
We have the team in this division to play like the Kevin Keegan side that he had at Newcastle.
Wow.
That's you score
retro reference.
But you know what I mean? You score 5, we'll score 6.
Yeah.
You know, you score 3, we'll score 5. You know, like just all that attack. And that team will be forever
blowing bubbles,
remembered.
Yeah.
For the attacking football, like just amazing to watch.
Yep.
Pure entertainment.
I wanted to mention this one, Adam Wright, Chris Dolan. This one was a personal one for you. I haven't got it up here, so you're just going to have to take it. Yeah. Why were you taking your nephew to a Crystal Palace game and not raising him as a Villa fan? Very good question.
Because he doesn't want to be a Villa fan. I've tried and tried and tried, and he ain't having it.
He's not having it?
No, he ain't having it. And it's funny, like, we got to Selhurst Park on Saturday. He was like, wow, look at the size of the stadium. And I said, you know Villa Park's like twice the size. Is it? Yep.
Size ain't everything, Chris. Let me tell you.
He just isn't having it. So it was his 10th birthday. Hasn't been to a football game before. And got on the phone to Mr. Parrish. And he...
Humble brag.
It was an amazing day. An amazing day. Great club. Great family club. Really well looked after. And wasn't a great game, mind. But a great day out. So that's
the reason.
That is the reason.
Shout out to Mark and Amy and Anthony Haynes as well. Mark and Amy got married in Greece.
Is that when they were listening last week?
Yes.
On his honeymoon?
Yeah. No. They got married in Greece on the Friday. So I think they're honeymooning out there as well. So congratulations to you guys. Looked absolutely lovely.
Why is he spending his first 2 days of married life listening to us?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. I saw them. I think they got married on the Friday, and then Anthony and his mate or Mark or some of the boys were watching Villa on their phones against Sheffield Wednesday. Brilliant. And it's like the positive there is that they're in the sun.
Yeah,
and we're watching it here in the drizzle.
Where I'll be on Friday.
Yeah,
I'll land as we're kicking off against Bristol City.
Very nice for you. Now a couple of YouTube. Comments before my phone dies. Bruce out ASAP, UTV, a lot of Irish.
Irish
what's
fans. I love it, yeah.
Like Clovers.
James wants to know, is that down to me?
It must be, right?
Well, I'll take the credit for it.
You bring the Irish fans out. Yeah. Sickening performance from Patrick Doherty. He has to be Irish.
Yeah, he's got to be Irish. I mean, God, I don't get much more Irish than
that. Chris Dolan, after seeing the highlights...
Which is not me, by the way.
Is it not?
No.
Oh, right.
There's another Chris Dolan.
Whoa, what? Get in touch.
I commented saying that's not me, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
There's 20 likes on it. I'd claim it if I were you. After seeing the highlights in Cavan, is it Cavan or Cavan?
Cavan.
I am disgusted with the performance and the result. Bruce out. Listening to the results on RTE. What is this? The Irish podcast?
Yeah,
goodness me.
It's the Irish BBC.
Yeah, I was gutted, and I bloody hope that doesn't happen at Ashton Gate. Bruce out. That's from Shane O'Connell. All right, Shane, should we do it in Irish? Would that get better viewers? Is that good?
Well, it's not bad.
Thanks.
Not too bad.
Robert McGrath. Bruce will be given time to turn it around, but I'm fed up now. No progress. Can't get the reaction from the players on the back of defeat. Only wasting points and games every game we keep him. Thanks for all you've done, Bruce. But it's time for Dean Smith. Dean Smith is getting a lot of love from the fans. All right, that's a few of the comments. We're up to an hour, which is quite frankly outstanding. Not from us, but just the fact that we could rattle on.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Chris, you want to say before you go on your summer holidays, the end of summer holidays, I suppose? No?
Just hope for 3 points on Friday.
Yeah.
Just want to see progression, wins.
That's all you need, isn't it? And a hug.
And a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Well, thank you if you're still watching.
Thanks for the love as well. A lot of nice comments and stuff.
Well, it's been lovely to have you on for a couple of weeks.
Good double header.
You will be featured a little bit more come November when I am awake all night.
Papa Julian.
Yeah. And so I think from then on, we talked a little bit more about a bit of a rotational system.
Yeah.
But it's been great to have you. You enjoy being back on the pod?
I love it, man. I love talking about Villa. You know, it's been trickier tonight. It's been hard tonight, but I love it.
You've raised your game in the St Andrews booth. You really have. It's been good fun having you. So thank you for coming and joining me the last couple of weeks. Dan will be back next week. I think it will be me and Dan.
Tanned and beautiful.
Well, yes. Let's hope.
So
for
he
that.
thinks.
Yeah. Again, he'll be the second best haircut in the podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your comments and questions. We do really appreciate them. Sorry if we haven't read them out, but hopefully your comment was covered at some point. We will be back on, I don't know, maybe Wednesday, because I think there's a couple of games. I think there's a Friday game and a Tuesday game next week. Also, if you haven't checked out the fan cams, make sure you do that. Really good opinions from a lot of very well.
Tom did a great job.
Tom Griffiths,
Little Tom.
yeah. And Jamo Rushton, shout out to you for doing it, and obviously Dan Rolinson every week in, week out, he is always there. So make sure you check that out if you fancy it. Thank you for watching this. If you have enjoyed it, please make sure you like and subscribe and share it as well, because that's always nice. Other than that, have a good week. Let's win at Bristol City. Up the Villa.
We're off for a beer.
Let's go.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.